People want a perfect relationship without becoming better partners.
You're now listening to the Student of Life podcast.
And introducing for a third week in a row, I have my little special guy, Timmy. Timmy.
Hi, guys.
And also, we have with us a special guest host. I know him as Johnny V, the one and only, but I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself, good sir.
How's it going, everybody? Everybody across the screen. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. Yes, I am Johnny V, the one and only. And I'm very excited to be here today. This is actually a topic that I like talking about, especially hopefully it gets through to the right, I guess, audience. It helps out somebody with anything they have going on today or throughout their life anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting you put it that way because, it's all about, messaging and there's some key points that we're going to hit in today's actual conversation. We're talking about literally relationships. We're going to be talking about this whole thing of validation culture, constant comparisons, accessibility to it, just unlimited amount of attention, and also unrealistic expectations. These are some of the things that we're going to talk about. But one question that I really have right now for most people, and not even most people, we're going to start with Tim, Johnny. Is social media exposing problems or creating them?
That's
We're jumping, we're jumping heavy in here right now.
Yeah, that was damn, that's a kicker right there. Maybe a little bit of both. You could kind of be devil's advocate on that one and play it a little, guess.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think looking at it from I'll start off. So I think sometimes there's pre-existing issues that somebody may already have, and I think with social media it kind of brings them out and may tend to amplify them or bring them to light. But then again, I also think that there are people that may not have those types of issues and then get over enveloped into social media and then develop some sort of issue down the road. So I agree. I think it's a double-edged sword with social media. I mean, there's good and bad with everything, and especially when it comes to relationships and a person or people. I think go both ways on that.
Definitely.
So you're thinking that social media, it lends itself to actually expose it, but not all the time does it create it? I'm just trying to understand your stance on that. Are you saying it could be both things?
It can be both things. So let's say somebody has, major jealousy issues and they have just, never really truly had a healthy relationship. And let's say they get into a relationship with someone, they see photos from their significant other's past, they start getting jealous about that. That manifests itself into some sort of, behavior between those two, and it can cause issues. But on the flip side, I think there is a point too where it can also create on its own issues that weren't there. And I think that comes down to a lot of the, I don't want to say addiction, but when people get, wrapped into the social media world and that's all they kind of become consumed with, then I think it becomes an issue as well that's created on its own.
Yeah, it's kind of like to make a like comparison. I'm pretty sure everybody has watched that show Friends, and I don't know if you guys remember that episode where the girl thinks that he is that doctor from the show. It's kind of like that where they start scrolling so much into it that they start thinking, well, yeah, my relationship is like that. Oh, my guy does that, or my girl does do that, and they start making things up in their head, thinking, oh, it's more of it than it really is.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think
Okay.
that's where like Tim and I are kind of in the same page. It could be helpful, but at the same time, it does create certain, aspects of problems that are not really there.
So okay, we're talking about this, comparing. So watching a show all the time, or you're scrolling all the time and you're looking at this person's Instagram or Facebook, and then, you start building in your mind who this person is, and they're not that way. Ooh, that's a really good
Oh,
point.
that's a different twist to it, actually. That's a different twist to it. Yeah, I didn't think about people like Facebook stalking or Instagram nowadays, I guess. Back in our time, maybe it was more like, was it
MySpace.
MySpace or Moco Space? I don't know if you were ever Mexican and dated a Mexican girl and she told you to go to Moco Space. But yeah, I never thought of that. That's actually a good thing because nowadays I do hear a lot of younger generations saying that they're like stalking the person before they even really date them, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. I've heard that as well.
That's kind of, I don't want to say kind of crazy because, that's a loaded term, right? But it's kind of mind boggling to think that we've come to a point where we have to vet people online, essentially, where most people only really show the good, right? Most people only show if they're really doing good, but no one really shows, that hard times that they really go through. And, that's really where you get to know someone and their true character is to see how they are during that adversity. Really, anybody can have a good time and show off that, and only share that stuff. And maybe I'm getting a little bit too deep right now for the whole setup because right now we really got the setup going on. So, Timmy, tell me, did you do anything special between the last episode and this one? Have you had to beat people off with a broom or anything like that?
No, I think so. Over time, I've had many different relationships.
No,
Obviously,
no. Tim, I am not talking about relationship. So once again, here we go. Oh my gosh. The last 2 episodes we did this.
all
Hey,
right.
let's keep
Pump
it
some
He's,
nice and
brakes.
free.
he's just ready to go. He said, I am no brakes. I'm all gas. Let's get it, is what he
Hump
said.
day.
I love it. I love it. I had to pull myself back from going into the deep end. And what I'm really wanting to know is how are you doing, Tim? Like today, how are you doing?
Actually, today has been a phenomenal day. I think even with my kids disrupting my sleep last night, thanks to some healthy dose of caffeine, at least in my eyes, healthy dose, I was able to navigate through the day without falling asleep, but also very productive. Had a lot of quote unquote fires that were put out, and overall, it was a very good Wednesday.
Genuinely thought you were going to say you gave your kids caffeine and that's what helped you throughout the day.
That would be the last thing that I would give either one of them.
You
They
said
naturally produce it.
you said that they kept you up all night and you said caffeine right after that. I was like, yeah, that's never going to work. That's a bad idea no matter what.
That is awesome.
No.
Well, I'm glad you did not give your kids caffeine, and I'm glad that you were able to get some sleep and rest up and everything.
Yes.
Johnny,
Thank God.
tell me a little bit about your and I might have this incorrect, but I think you have a podcast, right? As well too. Are you thinking about
Not
starting one
yet.
soon?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
very much thinking about starting one. Mentally, it's in the works, of course. On notes, it's on the works as well. It might just be a little bit later down this year, but like I said, I'm just glad to be a part of this right now, and later on, take baby steps and start my own up as well.
Nice. Nice. You know, okay. Do you even want to share what because I know you said it's in your mind and stuff like that, right?
Huh.
Do you have like an idea of like what path you want to go down or like what topics you really want to hit on or is that off the record? Do you want to
It'll
talk about
be
that
off the
later?
record, yeah, just right now. So that way, honestly, yeah, I want it to be more of a surprise than anything else. It'll help out a lot if I kept it a little hush, especially since right now you're
I love it.
helping me out with making sure nobody steals my ideas kind of thing. Not that you would, but as soon as somebody hears it, they're like, that's going to be a great idea.
True,
Yeah.
true. You have to protect yourself at all times. And, maybe that's another reason. And this is a good pivot, right? Because now let's get back to the topic a little bit protecting yourself. And maybe that's why people will go ahead and go through the social media first and vet people because they want to protect themselves, but really not thinking about that's not probably the true complete person as well too. And maybe that builds a little bit of unrealistic expectations because of that. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. We don't have all the answers. We're just having a
It could it
conversation
could
right
be
now.
it could be a part of what people the reason they decide to I hate using the word stalk, so we'll define it in a different way. Like you said, vet or research somebody thoroughly.
Research.
Yeah.
Research. Okay. So we'll use research. Little known fact. I mean, some people know this. Tim, you know this. My wife, she stalked me on Facebook before we actually started dating and everything like that. So she sent me a friend request. Yes, and yes. 10 years later, here we are.
She researched you.
She
Oh
got
yeah,
you.
yeah, not stalked. I've always said stalked. She researched me. Yeah, she
She
had a whole
researched
dossier,
you.
you know.
Yeah.
So maybe social media isn't exposing problems, or maybe they are exposing problems. Maybe they are creating them. I want to talk more about this, but we'll have to do that in the full package. So you know, when we cross over to the other side, we'll definitely do that. But one thing I do want to say, my final takeaway on just the tip is that healthy relationships require intentional effort. And I want everybody to really think about that. Healthy relationships require intentional effort.
Amen.
Tim,
Mhm.
Johnny, do you guys have any final takeaways before we get ready to cross over to the other side?
Nothing at the moment. But yeah, I
No,
completely agree.
I
It does
I
take
agree
some
with you.
effort.
Yep.
There's caveats to it, but at the same time, it's the little things. But so I'd say it's a good like 90% of what you said I agree with.
Yeah, anything in life, it's the intention and it's the effort and so many other things.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to intentionally give some effort in a healthy relationship, any healthy relationship. And we're talking about not just, you know, marriage or, you know, girlfriend and boyfriend, you know, even with family and friends. Healthy relationships require intentional effort. So just think about that. Everybody who's, you know, watching or listening, think about your intentions and your effort, you know, and is that actually giving some healthy meat, potatoes, veggies to that relationship? Just think about that. So,
Thanks. Now I'm hungry.
right?
I
I'm
almost said the
actually
same thing.
thirsty. I'm not so much hungry, I'm
That
thirsty
too.
right now. So if you thought that episodes 1 and 2 challenge your perspectives, this episode 3 is going to take things even further now because we actually have a new voice and perspectives from Johnny V, who's joining us. And remember, the real conversation with zero filters will be coming on the other side. So if you haven't already tapped in, go ahead, head over to Patreon, sign up for the full package, or come into the inner circle with us and let's grow this thing together. Until next time.